Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Saturday morning, December 9th. You know, this isn't going to be your weekday discussion. This is going to be more of a generalized discussion on when and how to grow your business. Now, for many of you out there, you're kind of like a one man band and that works for you. And all I can tell you is if it works for you, stick with it, okay? Sometimes bigger is not better, okay? As you get bigger, you have more income, okay, hopefully. But now you have other things that you have to deal with, from employees to, you know, uh, fuel costs, truck maintenance, lawn care maintenance as far as the equipment. But if you're going to grow and you want to know how to grow, you first have to basically start doing it yourself, and learn everything you can. Is it something that I really want to be involved with long term? Or is this just something to fill a time and need in my life, space? See, I know guys with lawn care businesses that they're a one man band or there's two of them that, go together, work together, to guys that have like 23, 24 crews working for them. But when you start talking that, it's all about location, 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 okay? If you're in a sparsely populated area, you can't make the money that someone does in town, in a city, because you're traveling so far in between customers. You have fewer commercial customers. That's where the money is commercial. You don't want to overlook residential, but commercial is good. And you need to sit down and you need to decide, why is it do I want to get bigger? Is it because I want the growth? And there's nothing wrong with getting bigger, okay? I'm just saying, for those guys that don't want a lot of headaches, because running any business, when you have employees and you have equipment and this and that, you're going to have headaches, Where if you're a one man band, you just worry about yourself, right? But I've seen guys go out and buy brand new machines with brand new trucks and trailers, and they're kind of putting the cart before the horse, right? Before you go out and you get into all that debt, you really have to look at, is there a market in my area? How far do I have to travel in between jobs? Is it where am I going to concentrate? Am I going to concentrate in a higher income neighborhood, which is probably your best, to get more money for doing the work? Like, I have a friend that's a contractor. He runs a small contracting business. There's him and he got 3 employees. And there's this lake that's right next to just 3 miles up. And he's been doing it long enough on that lake that everybody on that lake knows him, okay? And just word of mouth. I mean, it's kept him busy on that lake year round. Whether it's putting in septics, tree removal, uh, additions, complete rebuilds from the ground up, basements, full house. And he said the only way he could have made it was that he was able to charge top dollar because people that were living on the lake, you know, were making a lot more money than the people that were off the lake. Because why I was saying that you need to kind of start off by doing it. If you want to start a landscaping company, you want to start off with if you're looking for my advice, girls, I would say don't start off with new. Don't. Not until you know what kind of markets you got. Now, I'm always big on the money you make. If you can afford to roll that all back into the business, if you're working nights and weekends, to update your mowers, to better trailer, to more handhelds, a blower, weed eater. But you need to have a plan, right? Are you just going to mow yards? Are you going to mow yards and trim? Are you going to mow yards, trims, hedge trim, with a weed eater and then hedge trim the bushes? Are you going to encompass the whole thing? Are you going to snow plow in the wintertime? See, there's all these things that are out there that you need to figure out. And a lot of times that's just simply writing it down on pad and paper. And then you need to go out and research and find out, okay, the guys that are staying pretty busy, what are they charging? And where are they concentrating? See, your commercial properties are going to fetch you more money when it comes to landscaping because there's more money there. But you need to have really, really good insurance, liability insurance, and you need to do excellent work. And if it's not you doing the work, then you need an employee that's doing excellent work every time. Because I can guarantee you, just once, a complaint, and we talked about this, you're only as good as your last job, all right? But by trying to define what it is you really want to do is a starting point. Because if you're all over the map and you're thinking, oh, I might do this or this or this or this, how can you set realistic goals on an unknown outcome? Well, I don't know what I want to end up doing. Well, you need to figure out a game plan so you can gauge along the way if you're on track for what you're trying to accomplish, right? I mean, I've seen guys run by the seat of their ass, very disorganized, and it may work a couple of times, but for the most part, those guys, they blow it off because they figure they got one more guy that they can take on another job if they lose this job. You don't want to be one of those guys. But we could say the same thing when it comes to the repair shop. We can say this about any business, okay? Do I stay small or do I get bigger? And that's a personal choice. Okay? Staying small, you're relying on just yourself. As you grow, the way I did it anyways, was I didn't go and borrow money. I didn't step out, you know, and get family involved with helping me with the business. I didn't. I took the bulk of the profits and I rolled it over back into the business. Okay? And that's how I grew. And one of the first problems I had was employees. You know, how do I learn payroll? You know, do I just because I always looked at this as time is money, okay? If you got more time and not a lot of money, learn it. That way, get yourself QuickBooks or some payroll program and learn it and do it yourself. A lot of people do. But I really didn't have the time. But I had the income coming in where I could step out and hire someone that had been doing it for years on a 1099 basically. I mean, it was so much a year, and she made sure that all my payroll taxes were paid and the employees, and I wrote the check, but she did everything else, and it would come in an envelope with a slip of all the information, and I just have to slide check it. So that was my first, okay, I'm going to spend around $1,300-$1,400 a year with having someone else do it. But to me, I was more concerned about not doing it correctly and getting in trouble, because I don't like looking over my shoulder. Never have. So I always try to, give more than what I have to. That way I don't have to, right? But we started off, Claude, and we basically, it was running through the business, but we would split, whatever was being made. And he was looking for a more, regular paycheck per se, okay? But for me, the online side of it was where I was focusing the most, because I knew that would be the next big thing, right? So I started creating databases and upload programs where I could upload like the whole Briggs parts catalog to any one of the venues. And back then, most of the distributors for those parts had excess most of the time. So I didn't run into the back orders and stuff like you do today. So what I started off doing was putting up like the Briggs, and then putting up the Cub Cadet, putting up the, and even the aftermarket companies. I took their database information, plugged it into my program that I use for uploading, and I could upload their whole deal. And I also built into that program that I had developed the markup that I wanted, and you had to cover shipping, so you had to know the weight, and I had a sheet, kind of a cheat sheet, based on 1 pound it's going to be this, 2 pounds this, 3 pounds, And then like the venues like Amazon, eBay, it was so much plus shipping. And the shipping was dictated by your location. If you bought something from me and you were in Texas, you would pay more than someone that is in PA, because it's what it costs for postage. And I knew guys that were making money on postage. I never made the money on the postage. If anything, we broke even and sometimes took a loss, but I kept, as the orders started coming in, and I was ordering stuff in to ship back out, my niece, Krista, she was looking for part-time work. And you want to talk about a strong work ethic. That girl had it. I mean, you probably heard prior videos, at one point, she's pretty much running it, and I had to ask her permission to do stuff. But she was good at it. So eventually, as we grew, Krista took over the online side of it. Okay, she would put in orders for the stuff that we just had bought off our venues, off our catalogs online, bring them in, repackage them, and ship them back out. And that was working in the beginning, but then the venues wanted us to go faster. It's always them and the customer first, and then you as the supplier, basically, seller, you're kind of at their whim, So I knew I had to change things up some. And we needed more space. So now, okay, here we go. We're growing, right? We've grown out of our business that we're at right now, and we need more room. That was the key. Warehousing. If we're going to ship faster, somehow I have to have it here. And the one thing I didn't overlook was I had made a deal. I had great partners, with Stens and Rotary and Shell, with Gardner Canal and, with Briggs and all them, that I knew for a certain Shell, for a certain amount of postage, they would ship it for me, and I would not have to handle it. So on a lot of the higher end stuff, like the hydro gears, PTO clutches, the trimmer trap stuff, we had deals with them, great partners. That's the biggest thing, is developing a relationship with the people that you're buying from. And if you get into a tough spot, they'll help you, because they know you're good for it. They know what kind of person you are, all right? So we started doing a lot of drop shipping on the higher end stuff, okay? So we had to do one of two things. We either needed to slim down the catalogs, or we need to get more warehouse space and bring in more parts, to the business. So we went ahead and we started converting a 120 by 40 structure, completely gutting it, insulating it, all new ceilings and walls, electrical, everything. And that was going to be basically warehousing parts in the shipping area. Because all we needed to ship from was to have a computer, a printer, and access to be online, the internet. And we could package everything and have it out the door, that same day. If not that day, if it was later in the afternoon, depending on what time the mailman picked up, they would see that the tracking was showing that they were already shipped. But that meant more cost because, and the way I did it was I would take, and if I had one person buy one of these, I would bring in two. Okay? Because good chances are if one needs it, somebody else is going to need it too. So, and Lowe's, the guy out to Lowe's when we first started, he thought we were crazy because I was buying all these plastic bins where you had pull draws, and I would put all the small parts in there, and it'd be, in order depending on what the part number was, right? So we were pretty much getting ready to roll with that facility when it burned to the ground, along with probably close to $30,000, $40,000 in just pre-season orders that had showed up. This is where resilience comes into play, and feeling like you need to persevere and work through it. You need to find a way through it. And most people would have given up. I'll be honest. I thought about it more than once. Just take the insurance check and call it a good run. But I still saw the potential that was there. So the building we're in right now ended up being, it was a friend of mine, Carol, she had owned it. And she would buy up real estate and put money into it and then resell it. And she had been sitting on this property, and it was just up the road anyways. So we made a deal on it. I bought it, paid cash for it, because the business was making money, right? And all the suppliers chipped in and got us caught up. But in the meantime, between the fire and going to the new building that I bought, we worked at what we call camp now. But it was, I built that back in 88, 89. And it's a 30 by 60, 4-bedroom house. And that's where the kids were raised. But we turned that around and we started using that for storage. The bedrooms we cleared out, and they had parts bins and now we didn't have any place to do mechanical, so Claude had to come over and start helping with the shipping and packing. Mm-hmm. Plus, I had hired 2 others to also just do shipping and packing. So what we end up by then, I knew that the desk jet printers just weren't holding up, and it was costing so much money, so I went to the laser jet. So I bought 3 brand new laser jet printers with the big cartridges that last quite a while. But as I added more employees, I realized that, okay, now there's a different dynamic, you know, because I end up getting one that thought that, you know, she liked drama, okay? And Krista had issues. And I did all the hiring and firing and stuff. So I pulled Krista aside and I said, "What do you think?" She said that she's just causing too much issues. She's not pulling her weight. And if anything, I'm spending more time trying to correct her stuff than in trying to get my own stuff done. It's okay. So the next day, I let that girl know, "You're done. You know, I appreciate what you've done so far, but you're done." You know. And from that point, I told Krista, I said, "Krista, you're going to do the hiring and the training, okay? I'll do the firing. You know, I don't want you to have to shoulder that. I'll take care of that. You get me key people that will work well with you." And she did. But as you grow, you have to understand that there's always a risk. The risk that the market's going to bottom out. The risk that you're going to have COVID. The risk that you're going to have your selling venues saturated by overseas companies. No matter what you're doing in life, you're always going to have risk, right? And you can't always plan for the risk. So if I had scaled up quick, okay, went up, bought a great big warehousing with trucks and this and that, stuff that I really didn't need, I probably would have lost my ass when the overseas companies started taking and bombarding uh, the venues with parts. And I blame the manufacturers for giving the Chinese government the blueprint on how to do it. You're very welcome. If you want to grow, do it with as little to no debt as possible. Hire key people. I have a tendency, I stay away from family and friends, because if you hire family and friends, most times they think, you know, that they got the one foot in, you know, that they're above the rest of the employees, and they're not. Because I know that if my son had come to work for me, I would put him on the bottom of the totem pole, and he'd have to work his way up. He is just not going to step right into a manager's position. You have to earn it with me. You don't just get it handed. You earn it. And that's the way I've always had to learn, was I had to earn my rights to be in a particular position versus just having it handed to me. But as we've talked to before, if you have it handed to you, there's less value than if you put your blood, sweat, and tears into getting that position, right? So that's just my take on, growing a business. If you're the type of person that likes a lot of stuff going on and a little bit having their hands in a little bit of everything, and can work with employees and stuff, then that may be just you. You may be that contracting crew that has 23 crews, 24 crews out with trucks and trailers and everything else. If not, you may be that one-man band with your lawnmower and just make an extra income on the side. All right. You guys have a great day.